Hi and welcome to this lesson on the Hayden Duet Concertina, and this is the tune Wellerman, made famous about 4 years ago during our pandemic when lots of people were performing and singing this famous old sea-shanty. The Wellerman in the title refers to the Weller brothers, who own whaling ships and supply ships during the 19th century. Now I'll talk about the bass in a minute, but we'll learn the tune first of all, shall we? So just a reminder that this is a Hayden Duet. I'm using an Elise, which is a sort of a budget end version of the instrument, but perfectly playable, quite a nice little instrument. The Hayden system is very easy to learn, and if you want to learn more about the actual system itself and the layout, look at my previous videos. The first thing I'm going to mention is that it's in D minor, so all B's are flat. So the B flat we're going to play in this tune is this one up here, which is row 3 button 1, okay? So watch out for that. The time signature is quite interesting. It's 2/2, 2/2, which is called cut common time. So why do we have 2/2? Well, if you think about 2/2 as a fraction, that's kind of 2 halves. And 4/4 as a fraction, that's 4 quarters. Mathematically, that's the same, isn't it? So why 2/2? It's a way of making a faster piece of music look less complex. The reason for this is that all the note values are halved. It looks like a standard piece of music in 4/4, but it's played twice as fast. It's like splitting a bar of 4/4 into 2 bars, okay? So that's really all you have to understand about it. Some people count the bars in 2s, some people count them in 4s. I would recommend that you ignore the 2/2 time signature and just count in 4, pretending it's a 4/4 piece. So when you see a crotchet written down like the very first note of the piece, actually you're playing it as a quaver, you're playing it twice as fast. That's really it in a nutshell. The whole point of this is you have a score with lots of minims and crotchets and a few quavers, rather than a score littered with quavers and semi-quavers and hard to read notes like that. So that is the time signature, 2/2. All right, we're going to deal with this pickup bar first. Now this pickup bar is called bar 0. We count it in pretty briskly, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on beat 4 we play our first note. You'll notice that first note is C, it's middle C. The tune is all on the right hand side, this side here. The middle C is row 1 button 1. So you've obviously got to pull the bellows out a little way, because obviously if you're pushing to start with and your bellows are shut, you're not going to get any sound. So pull the bellows out a little way, count 1, 2, 3, 4, play that note with your index finger. On the push you can see it's got a big thick black oval around it, and the word is there. So above that note you can see NC, which stands for no chord. This means that there's no bass, there's no chord, there's no bass note, no left hand side when you play that right hand note to start with. And you can see there's a crotchet rest underneath. The crotchet equals 130 is a metronome setting, and if you've got a metronome you could set your metronome to that, but I wouldn't worry, just play it at the pace that you can. Usual advice, play the whole thing at the speed you can play it. So don't play bits you find easy fast and bits you find hard slower. Play it at all one speed. So there's our first pickup bar, bar 0, 1, 2, 3, and that little middle C note all on its own. So then we go to bar number 1 on the next stave. Don't forget, we're just doing the treble clef, the upper of the 2 clefs, which carries the tune. So in this first main bar, and the words are once was a ship that, and you hear that I said that rhythmically. If you look above, and it's quite a long way above, you can see the counting 1, 2 and 3, 4, and it's 4 D notes and then it's an F note, so it's finger number 2, you can see the number 2 next to the note. D is row 1 button 2, and you count it 1, 2 and 3, 4. So you've got crotchet, 2 quavers, crotchet, crotchet. And the last crotchet is F, which is row 2, button 1. Once was a ship that. So if you glue that pickup bar onto that, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3, 4. I'll do that without counting all over it. 1, 2, 3. Please notice how I hold my concertina. I prefer to support the right side of the concertina on my right leg, and the left side is hanging free. Fingers through the straps and the thumbs on top. You'll notice it says verse above that first main bar. This is the start of the verse. So that was all on the pull. Now we're going to push in on bar 2, and we have 4 A notes there, 4 crotchets, dead simple. It's row 2, button 3. Okay, so that's put, to, see, the. So usual thing, let's glue that together from the beginning. Okay, so. Push, pull, 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 push, 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 push. Okay? And it doesn't matter how slowly you play it, just get the timing spot on. Obviously with 4 crotchets, you can't really go wrong with the timing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Although really it's 1, 2. See if you were counting it correctly, but I think it's easier to count it like a 4, 4. So that's our pickup bar and our first 2 main bars. Now we're going to go to bar 3, okay, and we can see crotchet, 2 quavers, crotchet, 2 quavers, and we count that 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. We're pulling to start with, but notice the push at the end of the bar on that kind of 4th beat of the bar. Now, we tend to do pushes and pulls at the starts of bars, but not always. Sometimes it's better when you've got a crotchet to do the change of bellows after that crotchet. You've got more time to do it. It just makes a lot more sense. So we're starting on the pull and then we're ending on the push. So what are the notes? We've got B flat that I talked about earlier, 3rd line of the treble clef. B flat is row 3, button 1, finger 1. We're pulling here. Then we go to G, which is row 2, button 2. And then we go to A, row 2, button 3. And we end on the B flat. Let me just play the bar for you. So pull, 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 push, push. Okay, just so you know, I've written pull underneath that B flat, so the 3 G's that follow it are also pull. I don't put a pull or a push under every single note. So crotchet, 2 quavers, crotchet, 1, 2 and 3, and then 4 and, those final 2 quavers, A and B flat. So, name of the ship was that's the timing. Okay, and notice how the B flat is on the 3rd line of the treble clef, the G is on the 2nd line of the treble clef, the A is on the 2nd space of the treble clef, and the B flat again on the 3rd line of the treble clef. And then to finish this first page, to finish this 4th main bar, a little bit harder here, we have the note A again, row 2, button 3, finger 3, and then we do this. We play the note D, but out of position. You see I've written that above that. Now it's D, it's row 3, button 3, and I would normally say finger 3, but we need finger 3 straight afterwards on that A, row 2, button 3. So I say use finger 2 on that D, out of position, so you can come back to the A. Remember, this is still pushing from the previous bar, so you've got. And then again there you see that pull is at the end of that bar. So you've got A, D, A, 2 quavers, crotchet, dotted crotchet, and then a quaver. Let's look at the counting. 1 and 2, 3, 4 and. So that gives us 1 and 2, 3, 4 and. Now that dotted crotchet is interesting, isn't it? A dot to the right hand side of the note adds on half of its own value. So instead of it being a 1 beat note, it's a 1.5 beat note. And you can see the 4 in the counting is in brackets. So while that dotted crotchet is still ringing, you're counting 4 and you play the final A of the bar on that and after the 4. So if I count it, you've got 1 and 2, 3, 4 and, remembering to reverse the bellows on that final A. So those two bars, bars 3 and 4, sound like this with the right pulling and pushing. One, two, and three, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and I've said this in lots of other lessons. When you're counting, the 1, 2, 3, 4, those are immovable. You cannot rush those. They can't be changed. So if you've got notes that don't fall on those on beats, and that's what they are, we count and sometimes we say if it's even faster than that. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and. Now if I say the same thing without all the ands, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, they are equidistant. Right, let's play the pickup bar and those first 4 bars. I'm going to use my sheet music to do that. And make sure you give the notes the proper value. So if it's a crotchet, don't play it like this. See? Don't go. Make sure you give it, a bit more length than that. I've also said this before, you probably won't play the note right the way to the end of its value, but you just have to use your common sense. Pretty obviously, if you're doing this, it's not right. You've got to give those notes a bit more value. That last note ends in the air, doesn't it? So it doesn't sound right until we get our next bar. But I'm sure you're getting the idea by now. Alright, so everything on the right hand side so far, we're just dealing with the tune. Let's go to the next page. We've got 4 crotchets in this bar. We're still pulling from the previous bar. So we've got 3 Ds, row 1, button 2, and then an F, row 2, button 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the next bar we have 4 A's, 4 crotchets on the push. A is row 2, button 3. I would really recommend learning where your notes are on this instrument. Makes life so much easier. So 2 nice easy bars there, a pull and then a push. And in bar 7 we're pulling and we've got A, G, F, F, E. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Crotchet, crotchet, quaver, quaver, crotchet. Sounds like this, running down. So the A is finger 3, the G is finger 2, the F is finger 1 and the E is finger 3. So A is row 2 button 3, G is row 2 button 2, F is row 2 button 1 and E is row 1 button 3. And we end on D, row 1 button 2, and that's a push. So pull, 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 push. And that's a minim, that final note on the word blow. Blow, my bully boys, blow. So it takes up half of that bar. Alright, so 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the thing to do is to play from the beginning up to there. I'm using my sheet music. I always say this, it's a lot easier to read off a printed sheet than it is to read off your computer or your iPad. So just the tune from the beginning. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. Sounds really nice, doesn't it? Not too fast, that's a perfect speed to start off with. That was the verse, let's do the chorus now. And it starts on the note D, and it's row 3, button 3, and it's a crotchet followed by a crotchet rest, a crotchet followed by a quaver rest, and then a quaver. So we count that 1, 2, 3, 4, and. So that sounds like this. And again, it doesn't make sense because that last note is kind of in mid-air, hanging in mid-air. We need the next bar. Let's play those 2 bars. And again, on the end of that bar, we've got that quaver, so it's hanging in mid-air. So D on the pull, D on the pull, and then B flat on the push. Notice the counting above. 1, 2, 3, 4, and don't worry if the notes sustain longer or shorter than is actually on the music. As long as it sounds good, that's fine. You can interpret the music as you like. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as written. The music is just a guide. So pull, pull, and then the B flat and the subsequent notes will push with that final A in bar 10, a pull. So you've got D, like I say, row 3, button 3, D, D, B flat, row 3, button 1, C, row 3, button 2, two of those, two quavers, so fairly quick. And then we've got a crotchet A and a dotted crotchet A. A is row 2, button 3. And then you have a quaver A on the pull. So pull, pull, push, 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 pull. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4, and just play that again for you. Okay, so that's bars 9 and 10, and then we have bars 11 and 12. There's a lot of writing on this music, so I've just tried to give you as much information as possible. We are just looking at the top stave at the moment, the stave with the treble clef. So bring us sugar and tea and rum. We ended bar 10 with a pull, so all of bar 11 is still pulling. So pulling, we have B flat, G, 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 B flat, row 3, button 1, G, row 2, button 2. Crotchet, crotchet, quaver, quaver, crotchet, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then in bar 12 I've got 3 crotchets and a crotchet rest. And we have this. Now because that's slower, we can use finger 3 on the note D. Remember we used finger 2 before because it was so fast. But because these are crotchets, you can use finger 3 on the D and finger 3 on the A. So D is row 3, button 3, A is row 2, button 3. And we're pushing D, A, crotchet, 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 crotchet rest. The crotchet rest is the thing that looks a bit like a seagull. So those two bars, starting with pulling. Now I've got the pulling and the pushing going quite quickly in this, changing direction quite a lot. If you find that's too much, you can halve that. You know, it'll depend on your instrument, what your instrument is capable of and what you feel comfortable with. If you feel like your bellows have got more capacity, you might do longer stretches on the pull, longer stretches on the push. This is just a suggestion, of course. Quite near the end now of the tune, we've got D, D, and then 2 B flats this time, so it's similar to an early bar. Pulling, and then pushing at the end of that bar. Notice it's much better to change the bellows direction there. So pull, pull, push, push. See? So D, D, and then 2 B flats. So D is row 3, button 3. B flat is row 3, button 1. And then in bar 14, we've got C, C, A, A, A. And this is still pushing. 1 and 2, 3, 4. So C is row 3, button 2, A is row 2, button 3. So those two bars, 13 and 14. Right, one day when the tonguing is done, so you may be wondering what tonguing is, and I've written it down there. It's stripping the blubber out of a whale carcass. Very unpleasant, smelly job. These poor sailors had to do these awful things, and they very often didn't get paid in money. They got paid in rum and tea and sugar, so that's what the song is all about, the terrible lives these sailors led. Don't worry if you end up sustaining that first D, rather than going... If you end up going... Doesn't matter, you know, it's just a guide. Now I think these bellows directions work really well the way I've written them out, but you'll just have to see if it works for you as well. When we get to our last page, page 4, last 2 bars, and we have this rundown again, take our leave, and it's just 4 crotchets this time. A, G, F, E. So A is row 2, button 3, G is row 2, button 2, F is row 2, button 1, and E is row 1, button 3, and we end on D, which is row 1, button 2. So pull, 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 push. pretty straightforward. Bar 16, by the way, is the same as bar 8. So let's play the tune all the way through, just the right hand. There's no backing it. We're going to do that in a moment. I'm going to play it at a sensible pace, and you might want to play along as well. I'll count you in. 1, 2, 3. So there we are, that's the tune and that's your first bass, right? You've got to sort that out first of all, make sure you can play that and you're really happy with it before you move on to the left hand side. So let's talk about the bass. You're going to be playing 5 chords in this, and they're 2-note chords, and 2 of them, although they have different names, are exactly the same. If you look at the top underneath the title, it says, notice how the G minor and B flat major chords use the same notes. They both use B flat and D, which is these 2 buttons here. Button 1, row 3 is the note B flat, and button 3, row 3 is D. And when we play those 2 notes, they serve as both G minor and B flat. Okay? So that's 2 of the chords sorted out. When we want D minor, and that's the one we start with, we play this shape. And if you look on the right hand side of bar 0, in those thick black rectangles, I've written the shapes down for you. So D minor is this shape. Hopefully you can see that. It's the notes D and A. So D is row 1, button 2, finger 2, and A is row 2, button 3, finger 1. So it's the 1st and the 5th of the scale. If you look at bar 1, in the music, in the bass clef, you can see A and D, finger 1, finger 2. That's the 1st and 5th of the scale. So the 1st and 5th of the scale of D minor is D and A. So that's that shape. And when we want A, we simply move up along the diagonal, still use the A, but finger 2 moves to that, and finger 1 moves on to this note of E, which is row 3, button 4. So when we want A, we move along the diagonal. It's still 1st and 5th. Because there's no 3rd, doesn't make any difference, you see. And A is going to be the note A, which we used in D minor, and the note E, which is row 3, button 4. So both D minor and A have that kind of diagonal shape. G minor and B flat are the same shape. Now the chord of F is the notes F and A. So it's the same shape that we use for G minor and B flat, but on a different row. It's row 2, buttons 1 and 3. Button 1 is the note F, and button 3 is the note A. So you've only got 2 shapes. Okay, D minor and A both use the same shapes. G minor and B flat are the same notes, and F is the same shape as G minor and B flat, albeit on a different row. So just 2 shapes. So rather than reading the music for the bass, what I would do is when you see D minor in this bar 1, you're going to know that it's these notes, D and A. And you're playing those notes on beats 2 and 4. So if I just play bar 1, 1, 2 and 3, 4. See, 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And just play it nice and short. I've written them as quavers. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So for bars 1 and 2, it's the same thing, but it's pulling and then pushing. See, so D minor, just 2 notes needed. Okay, a chord can be 2 notes, and 2 notes is fine here. That's all we need. We're kind of doing the part of the oom-pah rather than going oom-pah, oom-pah. We're going pa, 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 pa. It's kind of a reggae rhythm, really. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So those first 2 main bars, all D minor. Let's just play that. So first and fifth, D and A for D minor, okay, pretty straightforward. Now when we go to G minor, the notes we need, like I said, are B flat and D, row 3, buttons 1 and 3, and this is the minor third and the fifth of G minor. So it's these two buttons here, hopefully you can see those, and you play those as before on beats 2 and 4. This is bar 3, pulling and then pushing. All that you have to remember here is that the first time you play the chord you're pulling there, but then second time you play it you're pushing. Same notes, same buttons, but pushing. Pull and push. And then when you come to bar 4 and you play this, you're back to your D minor chord where you started, and it's the notes D and A, and it's push both times, because when you do the pull on that final A you've completed your bass line. So let's just play those first few bars with our basses. So it's going to be D minor on the pull, then on the push, G minor on the pull, then on the push, and then D minor on the push twice more. Let's put the right hand with that. I'll do the right hand on its own. I won't play the bass, I'll call the bass out. So D minor, D minor, G minor, D minor. Okay, and I would learn that little bit first of all, learn that first page to start with. 1, 2, 3. What you mustn't do is to look at your buttons. You've got to learn by muscle memory where those shapes are. So you can play D minor and you can play G minor. I'm looking at the camera, not the concertina. You can see my fingers are going to the right place purely because I've practiced this so many times. So learn where those patterns are and make sure they fall to the fingers easily. Let's go to the next page. So we've got 2 more bars of D minor, and then we've got a bar of A, and then back to D minor. So in bar 5 you've got D minor, bar 6 you've got D minor, but the only difference is you're pulling and then you're pushing. Then you want A. It says underneath bar 6, keep A note, change finger. So you're on D minor, which is D and A. You've got finger 1 on the A, move up so finger 2 is on the A, and finger 1 goes down on this note here, which is E. Now it's on the second ledger line in bar 7. Now I could have written that in the treble clef, but I wanted to keep it all in one clef. So it's on the second ledger line above the stave, and it's E. So you've gone from D minor, these 2 buttons here. Now I'm saying that's D minor, but it would also work as D major. Here it just so happens to be a D minor because of what we're playing in the right hand. Here we want A, this is A major, and the notes are A and E. Same shape, just moved along the diagonal. So it's 1 bar of the A, and then you end with D minor. The only difference this time is the timing is different. You go 1, 2, 3. Bars 7 and 8, bass-wise, sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. See, it's on 2, 3, not 2, 4. So if I play from bar 5 to bar 8, you'll get the idea. So we're pulling, and it's D minor. Hear the difference in the timing there. So that is the first section, that is the verse. Let's play all of that all the way through, both hands to start with. You can't possibly think about both hands at once, so I would think about the right hand and make sure your fingers fall to those bass notes really easily. Just when you look at the chord above the bar, D minor, you know it's this. When you see G minor, you know it's this. When you see A, you know it's this. In that verse, there are only 3 chords. So here's the whole thing. 1, 2, 3. If I just play the bass line on its own, 1, 2, 3. Dun, 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 dun. Now I'll play the right hand and I'll call the basses out on the left hand. So here we go. D minor, D minor, G minor, D minor, D minor, D minor, A, D minor. Whole thing together again. 1, 2, 3. And that's pretty slow, but that's absolutely fine to start with, isn't it? Let's move on to the chorus. Now, I'm probably making a bit of a meal of this, but I like to go through everything, dumb it right down, explain everything. I know lots of teachers move a bit faster than this, but I like to make sure you've got everything. That's why I go into everything in such detail. It doesn't suit everyone, but I have a long list of pupils who enjoy the way I teach, so hope you do as well. And obviously, I didn't say it, but obviously when you moved from A back to D minor, you kept that A note, which is common to both chords, and you moved back down along the diagonal. So there was A, and there was D minor, and just move back down the diagonal. Okay, so in the chorus, we start with B flat. Now, we called these two notes G minor earlier, okay, but now they're going to be called B flat because the notes are B flat and D, which is the first and the major third of the chord of B flat. So it's dual purpose, this shape. Here we're calling it B flat major, okay, and it's B flat major because of what we're playing in the right hand side. Don't worry too much about that. We're getting into the realms of understanding harmony. You don't have to worry about that. Just know that this shape, row 3, buttons 1 and 3, is what we use for both G minor and B flat. So we are pulling and then pushing, but we're pulling both times on the chord here. So we have bar 9 here. We don't change to the push until we play the second of those two chords. So 2 B flats, and then in bar 10, Wellerman come, we move back towards ourselves to row number 2, same buttons, buttons 1 and 3, and like the B flat, this is the first and major third of the F, so it's F and A. So we're now on row 2, buttons 1 and 3, fingers 1 and 3. So we're going. So we're pulling for the 2 B flats, pushing for the 2 Fs. And when we say B flat, we actually mean B flat major. When we say F, we mean F major. When we say A, we mean A major. But obviously we've got D, M and G, M, which are D minor and G minor. Okay, so B flat major, F major. Okay, so let's play both hands together. Alright, let's move on to bar 11. Now this time it's G minor, but it's the same shape that we use for B flat. So it's row 3, buttons 1 and 3. And we've got that on the pull, and then we change to the D minor, right the way down here, on the push in bar 12. So from bar 11. Let's play those 4 bars, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So starting with the pull. Don't forget it's D minor in bar 12. Okay? Alright, let's go to bar 13. Same thing as before, B flat to F in the chords. Okay, so here we go. Same idea, moving backwards towards ourselves. Now, because we come in on the B flat on beat 4, the second B flat chord this time in bar 13 is on the push. So we have this, pull, push, and the 2 F chords are both on the push. So B flat to F, same shape, moving backwards, near the end now, and we have the A to the D minor. Now we keep the A note out of the F chord, but we change finger Okay, so it was finger 1, now it's finger 2. So finger 1 is in the same place on the A for the F chord and the D minor, see? Move along the diagonal for the A chord, finish off A to D minor. So we move back down the diagonal, pulling then pushing. Sounds like this. And again there, those final 2 D minor chords are on beats 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3, not on beats 2 and 4. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. See? So let's play the chorus with both hands, starting on the B flat there. So I'll call the bass line out and I'll play the tune. So B flat, F, G minor, D minor, B flat, F, A, D minor. So there we are. And that is pretty tricky. For a beginner, I'd say that's a pretty hard thing to play. So if you're fairly new to this instrument, be kind to yourself. Don't be too harsh on yourself. It's pretty hard to do. Learn the tune first and then add the bass line afterwards. A lot of people say learn the right hand and the left hand at the same time. I personally think for a beginner that's too hard to do. I would learn the tune, I'd learn the bass, but I definitely wouldn't try and read the bass in terms of the music. I'd learn the shapes. You know, D minor, A, B flat, G minor and F. Learn where the shapes are. It's so much easier to look at the chord shape above the bar and think, all right, I know what G minor is. I don't have to see that it's, you know, a D and a B flat. So I'm going to play the piece all the way through for you now, both hands. So there we are, that's a fantastic piece to learn, isn't it? Take your time with it, take all the time you need. I hope very much you enjoy learning this piece. Thanks for watching, and you'll see me in my next video.